Now, there was one incident that happened about 3 weeks after my wife passed away, and I'd really forgotten about this, and I was going through some old videos, and it reminded me of that time. And it was really pretty outrageous after having gone through, 25-year marriage, and my wife passed away from alcohol use disorder, if you follow me. And it was about 7 o'clock in the morning, and there was a knock on the front door. I mean, like a heavy, heavy knock. And it was the kind of knock, and I was still in the bed, and I'm like, okay, I haven't heard that knock since they were looking for my wife back when she had DUIs, and it sounded like the police. And I'm like, okay, my wife's gone. This can't be the police. So I threw on a bathrobe, walked downstairs, and, sure enough, looking in the window was a police officer. When I went downstairs, you had a flight of stairs down, and you could see the front door, and there's a window next to that on the porch, and they were looking in the window. And I went, what now? What now? My wife was gone. She passed away about 3 weeks. My son was in college. I was home alone. It was just this weird period in my life when everything was kind of empty. The house had this big old house that was empty, and I was living alone suddenly. And so I answered the door, and I opened up the door, and the first thing they said was, well, where's Amanda? We're looking for her. And I just kind of looked at them like, is this a joke? What are you talking about? And again, real quick, when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, I have a complete coaching program that's really designed to help both the alcoholic and the family. If that's the situation, click on the link above. Set up a breakthrough call. Takes about 45 minutes. We're going to do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your life. Now, the call is free. The course is not. But I'm looking for people who are committed to change their life and the life of their family. And initially, they both looked a little bit, kind of pissed off, because it took me a while to come downstairs, and I wasn't really in any hurry to find out who it was at 7 o'clock in the morning. They tend to come that early because they know you're home. And I said, Amanda? I go, what are you talking about? They go, well, she has warrants. Does she live here? And I said, no, she doesn't live here. She passed away about 3 weeks ago. And they kind of look at each other with a smirk, like, oh yeah, we've never heard this one before. Oh yeah, she's dead. And I went like, what do you think, I'm making this up? I go, she passed away 3 weeks ago. She was in ICU at the intensive care unit at Ronald Reagan. The final bill was $2.3 million. She had 12 operations. She fell down a flight of stairs in her 7th rehabilitation facility. It was a gruesome ending. And I gave them very detailed knowledge of what happened. And they kind of looked at each other like, oh, okay, there's some credibility to this. So do you mind if we come in to see if she's there? And I went, yeah, I do mind. I just said she passed away. Why do you need to come in? Well, do you have the death certificate? And I'm like, I'm standing at my front door 3 weeks after my wife passed away, and I have 2 police officers looking for my wife for warrants that she didn't take care of from probably 2 or 3 years prior. And I can remember just kind of seething, like, can't you... What part of what I'm telling you is not resonating or is not drilled into you? And at the time, emotionally, it's exhausting because you've already been through so much. And I realized it wasn't the police officer's fault. I mean, they're just doing their job. I mean, it's not really part of the emotion, but just having to have this intrusion, it was really the last capstone. And I even told the story about, how her ashes were delivered to the front door. And that had probably been the week before that. And I'm just, all these weird things that were happening after she passed away and kind of continued with the energy that she had created when she was alive. And again, the number one reason why I tell this story isn't for the dramatic effect. It's for alcoholics to understand, someone who is going down this road, and to think that the only people that they are hurting is themselves, is a realization that they need to shake themselves free from. They are affecting every person in their life, every person that's ever loved them, every person that's come across them, their children, their parents, their spouses, their boyfriends, their girlfriends, who's ever in their life. Not to mention innocent people if you get behind the wheel of a car. You are a path of destruction. Okay, and understanding that, I hope, becomes a realization that it's time to do something about it. Realizing it in yourself that it's time to get to work and to do something to change. Because if nothing changes, nothing is going to change. And I know a lot of people think this type of story is just a radical story that that doesn't happen all the time. It happens all the time. We lose 185, 190,000 people a year just in the United States alone from alcohol use disorder. It's a horrendous disease and it needs to change. I tell these stories for awareness and so it resonates with people who do find themselves in this situation and realize it's time to do something about it. And really, to finish the story off, they did realize that I was pretty credible standing there in my bathrobe, like, well, what, I have nothing to hide, and my details were very detailed. She goes, I'll tell you what, and they realized, they did say they're sorry for my loss, which was important, but they said when I did get the death certificate, rather, to take it down to the court, and they could quash her fines and any warrants outstanding, this one or any other thing that was going on. And they would be able to quash that, obviously, because she's passed away. And as your spouse, you're not legally responsible because it's her job. And I was like, thanks for letting me know that. And they did walk away, and they were very cordial. I mean, they were very good at doing their job. But just the whole incident, 3 weeks after she passed away, was very traumatizing. I think I felt very traumatized from that for a few days, even a week. The good side is I did end up going to the court once I did. It took quite a while to get her death certificate because we did an autopsy because I wanted to find out what really happened. I'll get into that another time, but I took the death certificate to get to the court. She had about $21,000 in fines, late fees, court costs that she was responsible for, and the judge was very lenient in removing all of that. So that was no longer a bill that I had to pay, and I'd been paying parts of it for a couple of years, So these types of things, I want you to realize what you're putting your family through. It's an important story, and I hope it resonates. And again, if this story resonates, there's so many more like it. In Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. It was the story of her 25-year decline with alcohol use disorder. She passed away a little over 5 years ago. The book can be found right on this page in the link tree. You can get it from my website. It's also available on Amazon, and there's a link for the international link. It's available anywhere in the world. Ebook, you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and the Apple website. And again, thanks so much for listening.